Morning, guys. Today is Tuesday, February 13th, 2018. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I am the CEO of Hill Story Marketing. And this is the Daily Mix TV. So it looks like the Olympics are having some ratings challenges. The opening ceremony pulled in roughly 28 million viewers, according to Nielsen. Now, that's down about 8% from the Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia, back in 2014. On the first night of competition, which was Thursday, NBC posted 16 million viewers, down 25% from the 20 million in Sochi. Now, on the second night of competition, the slide wasn't as severe. It's down 14%. But what's troubling to me about all of this is that in this digital age, these numbers actually include live streams and delayed streams. So that means that less people are watching and participating in the spirit of the Olympics. Given what's going on geopolitically, this is really disconcerting. Remember, the original purpose of the Olympics was to promote peace through healthy athletic competition. The problem as I see it is that the Olympics, much like retail and several other sectors, just hasn't evolved enough for a millennial or Generation Z audience. Now, these people are looking for a real experience, something memorable. And I don't mean just hanging out at a bar or a lounge or in their living room with their friends, watching it on the screen. And cheesy stunts, yeah, they're just not going to cut it. I mean, think about this. The Olympics often relies on the opening ceremony to drive a ton of noise and buzz. I didn't get the sense that that happened as much this year as it has in prior years. Also, there's another issue looming in the background that most people aren't talking about, and that's licensing. Since 2008, during the Great Recession, licensing year over year has declined. Why? Because there's less confidence in the market and there's less cash. Remember, and I've said this a handful of times, our credit card debt, our consumer credit card debt, is the highest it has ever been. And with the Fed just raising the interest rate a couple of fractional points, that's some scary stuff, which means there's even less money in the market. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, licensing is essentially a way to capitalize on your intellectual property by licensing out your brand name, your brand identity, to a manufacturer to use on their products. So everything that's got the Olympics logo on it, or anything that would say Pyongyang Olympics, 2018, so on and so forth. Now, here's the problem. Typically, in those situations, so let's give you an example. Casemate. Casemate makes iPhone cases, Galaxy cases, all of those kinds of things for smartphones, right? So let's say that Casemate acquired a license from the U.S. Olympic Committee, or the USOC, or the International Olympic Committee, IOC, okay? What they do is they pay a fee up front so that they can put the rings on the case of the phone, all right? Consumer buys that case. There's a royalty payment from each product purchased that then goes back to the USOC or the IOC, all right, from Casemate. The problem is I'm seeing almost none of that in the market. Why? Usually licensing for tentpole events, like the Olympics, is bulletproof. That's not the case anymore. I think, sadly, the traditions of prior generations seems to not interest millennials like the way it did Generation X. However, there's some good news. Now, I don't know if the reason why there's the decline is because parents just didn't watch the Olympics and pass that tradition along to their children the way it did for me and my generation, okay? The good news, though, in all of this, is that everything in life is cyclical. So the interest in the Olympic Games may very well make a roaring comeback. I just don't think it's going to be this time around. The challenge I feel that the Olympics faces is a lack of country-by-country patriotism for the right reasons. And I don't mean what's going on in pop culture right now, guys, so please don't get me wrong. This isn't a political thing. This is merely a pride thing, okay? So when I was a kid growing up, you had Nadia Comaneci, you had Bruce Jenner. You certainly had a handful of Olympic athletes like Mary Lou Retton who were all, USA, rah, 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 and you wanted to watch them compete. You wanted to watch them win. We don't have those personalities. We don't have that sense of patriotism the way that it used to exist. So the bastardization of patriotism and what's going on politically right now, I think is also having an adverse effect on this. But like I said, everything in life is cyclical, and it's very likely this will eventually turn around. Now, we all know how much of a fan I am of disruptive stunts. You know, those marketing initiatives that are designed to drive a lot of noise in a very short period of time and often have a social point to convey. Well, Diesel, which is one of my favorite clothing brands, they opened a pop-up shop on Canal Street in New York with clothes designed to look fake, even though they were real. So it was all this elaborate stunt as part of the Go With The Flaw campaign, which encourages people to embrace imperfection. Now, every label on the t-shirts and jeans and hats was purposefully misspelled to read Diesel, D-E-I-S-E-L, and the pop-up definitely looked like one of those shady joints you went to go find a fake. You know, the ones you see in TV shows and in movies, where it's usually in Chinatown, which is where Canal Street is, and it's where you went to go buy a fake Rolex or a fake Louis Vuitton bag and so on. Now, check this out. The sign out front was affixed to the shop awning with duct tape. I mean, this is just brilliant. Now, I believe Publicis North America put this one together. And again, I just think it's brilliant. Congratulations, folks. Just great job all around. I hope this turns into a really high ROI for you. I love seeing programming like this because it really does show that people are thinking outside of the box, as much as I hate using that phrase, and being a lot more creative with their outbound communication. Now, last night, my wife Kylie and I were watching the most recent episode of Shark Tank. We were watching it on Hulu. As most of you know, in every episode, they have an update on past participants from the show. So last night's update was HoneyFund. HoneyFund is basically a wedding registry for honeymoons. And Mr. Wonderful himself, Kevin O'Leary, invested in it as part of his, I believe he calls it something wonderful platform or something like that, or wonderful moments. HoneyFund, in this case, in this update, it was announced that they're partnering with Target. And it's going to allow soon-to-be married shoppers the chance to register for honeymoon experiences, flights, dinners, and more, as they also sign up on the Target site for other traditional household items that often end up in a registry. You know, dishes, mixers, food processors, and so on. Now, for Target, this is a brilliant move. It allows them to offer more services to their customer base under their bridal and baby banners. Guys, when it comes to times of economic uncertainty, there are two sectors that are virtually recession-proof: bridal and baby. Why? Because there are millions of families that are having babies every day, and there are even more weddings. Now, granted, in recent years, those weddings tend to be smaller than the big ones that we've all grown up with, but there's still a heavy spend pattern against it. Now, Target has updated its registry for wedding and baby in other ways as well. It's also added visual search technology in the registry app in partnership with Pinterest. So the guest can take a picture of an item that he or she likes, and the retailer's app will instantly recommend Target products resembling the photo to add to any registry, from wedding all the way up to baby. Now, I love programs like this. It gives consumers a one-stop shop, and it begins to create an emotional connection for the consumer with the retailer. Now, think about this, guys. When you tie into an important event for a consumer, like a wedding or a birth, that consumer is far more likely to continue to shop at that retailer's stores versus the competition because of that connection. So what do I mean by that? As an example, I still think back to when Kylie and I registered at Crate and Barrel, what was that, 15 years ago, for a number of things in our registry. And every time I look at those products, after I've remembered the person who gave it to us and why, obviously our wedding, I actually do think of Crate and Barrel. So much so that I've even had times where I've ran to their nearest store to purchase something because I was thinking about it in the registry. So, it really is important, and it is the holy grail for a marketer to create an emotional connection between brand and consumer, in this case, retailer and consumer. Now, for Target, bringing in HoneyFund is a brilliant move. It allows them to give a full 360-degree offering to their consumers for wedding, and of course, the other developments that I've just talked about for baby as well. So kudos to Target. Congratulations to those entrepreneurs at HoneyFund. You know, Shark Tank is the phenom from hell. It's amazing. It's brilliant. And I friggin' love it. There is nothing better on TV from a reality perspective and from an educational perspective. If you watch that show, you're going to learn a lot about business and a lot about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Now, on a personal note, it was announced this morning on Elvis Duran in the Morning Show that Bethany Watson will be leaving the show. Bethany joined the show about, I think it's only been about 8 years, maybe 7 years. She has just been a phenomenal addition to the Elvis Duran family. I love listening to her every morning, talking about the various things in her life and doing the news reads and all of those things. Certainly the horoscopes. You know, Bethany, you are an absolute doll. I love you to pieces. You're such a good person. For those who don't know, Bethany is an avid supporter of the animal rescue and advocacy community. So as you know, Kylie and I created Rock 'em Rawhide to help increase the level of adoptions of dogs and cats in shelters. And we work with a number of rescues and other organizations to help increase those adoption levels. So Bethany actually sits on the board of a friend of mine's rescue called Mr. Bones & Co. So, you know, Bethany, I'm sorry you're leaving the show. I'm sorry we're not going to get to hear you. Thank you for all the years of entertainment, of laughs, of tears, and certainly hearing about all of your adventures. I wish you the absolute best of luck, my friend. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the CEO of Hill Story Marketing. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Daily Mix TV. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll catch you tomorrow.